He didn't wear a mask, he didn't carry a weapon, and he never even left the store with stolen goods. But somehow he walked away with over $1 million, money that stores willingly handed him. It was one of the most bizarre refund scams in UK history. No breaking and entering, no hacking or identity theft, just a loophole buried in everyday return policies. This is the true story of how two ordinary men, Tony Ledgister and Samuel Boateng, turned receipts into riches. And in doing so, they exposed one of the biggest blind spots in modern retail. But how did it all work? And more importantly, was it even illegal? This isn't your typical crime story. There's no heist, no getaway car, just a quiet manipulation of a system built entirely on trust. It started small, almost innocent. In 2013, Tony Ledgister walked into a department store in the UK. He picked up a boxed electronic item, something small, expensive, and easy to carry. Then he walked straight to the return counter, receipt in hand. Confident posture, no hesitation. The clerk scanned the barcode, the system beeped. Refund approved. But here's the twist. Tony never actually bought that item. It was the beginning of a scam that would last nearly 2 years. Dozens of stores, over $1 million in fraudulent refunds. He wasn't working alone. His partner, Samuel Boateng, helped plan the entire operation. Together, they studied how returns worked, store by store. They noticed how rarely clerks questioned receipts. As long as it scanned, it was considered valid. It was the perfect storm. A policy designed for convenience turned into an open door for abuse. They didn't need force or threats, just timing, charm, and saved receipts. The operation was simple but genius. Tony and Samuel chose busy stores during peak hours. Weekends, holidays, and sale days worked best. One man walked the aisles while the other waited near the return desk. They would meet with an item and a perfectly matched receipt. The item came directly off the shelf, not from any previous purchase. Cashiers scanned it. It matched. Refund processed. They kept the money or sometimes asked for store credit. Then they'd buy other goods to resell later. They repeated this scheme dozens of times. Some stores were hit multiple times a week. They traveled across the UK, avoiding suspicion by spreading out. Every refund looked clean on paper. Until one day, the numbers started connecting. So was it really theft? Not exactly. At least, not at first. The receipts were real. The items were real. And the employees willingly processed the refunds. No fake cards. No stolen goods. Just deception through confidence. It was technically a gray zone. Retail law defines theft as taking property without consent. But what happens when the property is given willingly, just based on a lie? Police and prosecutors struggled to define it. Every transaction looked legitimate. Even surveillance showed nothing unusual. Just polite customers. Tony and Samuel weren't breaking into safes. They were breaking a system built on trust. 2 years later, the data finally told the truth. Refunds clustered under identical details. CCTV matched faces across multiple cities. And just like that, the scam collapsed. Police moved in quietly. When officers searched Tony's home, they didn't find stolen goods. They found piles of receipts, stacks of evidence. No guns, no cash hidden, just paper trails. Prosecutors faced a challenge. How do you punish someone for abusing honesty? So they charged the men with dishonest representation. In court, the prosecution called it a sophisticated and sustained deception. Samuel received 3. Tony was sentenced to 4 years in prison. The courtroom was packed. Journalists scribbled notes, fascinated by the legal loophole. The story exploded in the news. People couldn't believe how something so simple fooled so many. After the convictions, the retail industry panicked. Every major chain started rethinking their refund systems. Receipts were redesigned with unique QR codes. Refund data was centralized, so cross-store returns could be tracked instantly. Employees began new fraud training programs. Cash refunds for expensive items were restricted, and serial numbers were tied to receipts to verify ownership. In less than a year, return fraud in the UK dropped sharply. But this story wasn't just about retail. It was about trust, and how easy it is to weaponize it. Because Tony and Samuel didn't steal through force. They stole through belief. In the end, this story forces us to ask hard questions. Where does a clever hustle end and a crime begin? Tony and Samuel saw themselves as clever, not criminal. They thought they'd simply found a loophole no one noticed. But deception, even clever deception, has consequences. Their scam left a permanent mark on retail systems worldwide. It reminded everyone that trust, once exploited, is nearly impossible to rebuild. Sometimes the most effective crimes don't involve violence. They happen quietly, inside the rules themselves. If this story opened your eyes, hit like, share, and subscribe. And tell us in the comments, would you call this crime or just clever exploitation?